Welcome back to Bourbon Barrel Talk. I'm your host, Scott Minton. Today we are sitting down with the Brock family, Mr. Nick Brock and Barbara Brock, and we are in the Brock Bourbon Bunker. That's a lot to say.
That is a lot to say, but it's accurate right now.
Did you come up with that, or did a family member, or was it just something that just happened by chance, or what?
Just happened by chance.
There we go.
Just heard it in passing, and I was like, let's go with it.
So Nick is somebody I ran into recently, and he's a super cool guy. And we were talking at a bourbon release at one of the new liquor stores here in Southern Indiana, and he was the lucky winner of the bottle of the day. And I was like, hey, when are you going to crack that bad boy open? And he's like, I don't know. I got to think about it. And I was like, well, when you decide you want to crack it open, give me a call and we'll hang out and we'll drink it and we'll talk about it. And he's like, all right. So he did. He called me. I was like, well, hell, this was an easy win. Like for me, I get to come over and try some good bourbon and we're going to have a good time. So today's episode is going to be all about barrel proof. Along with us is Mr. Stephen J. Scott as usual. How you doing, Steve?
I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
Hanging there like a hair in a biscuit, brother. That's good. Biscuits. Love biscuits. Bacon.
Gravy.
Bacon with biscuits. Oh, gravy too. Yeah, I'll take it.
Gravy.
Or
a little bit of honey.
Sausage gravy?
Sausage gravy.
Of course.
Barbara's smart.
Either that or the Popeyes with a little bit of honey on their biscuits.
Yep. I'll take it. So what we've got is some barrel proof bourbon. We've got, we're going to start off today with an Old Ezra 7, which is 117 proof. It is a batch proof. That is a Lux Row distillery, if I'm correct, right, Stephen?
Correct.
Everybody else is shaking their head. Yes, everybody's on board. And then we got an E.H. Taylor, which is what we're here to taste. The barrel proof, uncut, unfiltered, batch 10. Is that what you said, Nick?
Yes, batch 10.
Batch 10. And that one's reining in at 127.3. So we're excited that because everybody knows I'm a high proof hooker, whore, whatever. I'm glad Steven said it. I didn't. The kids are going to come down here and be like, what are these guys talking about, Mom and Dad? And I'm like, oh, great. Here we go. Another day on Reddit. Somebody's going to be complaining. So, and then last but not least, I brought what is one of my favorite batch proof bourbons. I brought batch number 12 of the Stagg Junior, which is weighing in at the heaviest amount of 132.3. So, first of all, Brox, what are we doing? Do y'all want to tell everybody a little bit about yourself, or do y'all want to just get right into the tasting and all that good stuff?
I can start off. I've been a bourbon drinker now for well over 10 years. Only recently, within the past 2 years, really started going to the point where we're actually trying to hunt and look for other places to go to get different bourbons and kind of look around. We really started actually almost 11 years ago. Barbara and I went on, started doing some bourbon trails and really kind of enjoyed what we saw, what we did, what we tasted, and just really enjoying most everything there. And so once we did, it was just kind of downhill from there.
So it's really cool that you actually have a wife that will go and partake and enjoy with you, even though I understand, Barbara, you're the big rye fan of the family.
I am definitely much more into the ryes. That being said, I still like a good bourbon.
Gotcha. So what do you like about the rye versus a bourbon?
I think what I like the most about it is those different spices.
The spices? So do you like when they bring out the fruity notes in that rye as well?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily?
I definitely prefer the spicy.
You like the pepper. You like the spicy.
I do. I really do.
Man, oh man. Nick's a lucky dude, I can tell you.
Because for a long time, she was just, having her normal makers, Woodford, some of the mainstreamers. And then once we started really going on some of the bourbon tours to really try some of those different ones, she was like going, ooh, that's good. Oh, I really like that. And so it just was snowball. Just went snowball down the hill.
It goes and it blows up real fast, exactly. As you said, your collection was pretty standard until the last few years, and it's a nice collection. I mean, I can't wait to try some more stuff after we get through these three, and we're going to have a good old time. So, well, we're going to dive into this one, this Old Ezra 7. So everybody grab it up and get a sniff and all that good stuff. So like I said, Old Ezra is a Lux Row product. This one's weighing in at 117. I've had this one before. It's one I really enjoyed. So right off the bat, what do you think on the nose there? Anybody got any feedback on the nose?
Just vanilla and smoke.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Vanilla and smoke, most certainly.
A little char. Yep. No, I get a little bit of tobacco on this one as well. Just like a touch of maybe pipe tobacco, like Grandpa's old pipe tobacco.
Except mine didn't smoke.
My grandpa, he mainly smoked cigarettes, but every now and then he would break out the old pipe and go from there. But what I really, really resonate with pipe tobacco is my wife's mom's boss like smoked up pipe like a chimney. I mean, every day I went in to, go see Irvin, and then we'd drop off stuff and talk to him, and just puffing away, dude, like all the time. He was like 75 years old. They had these fat dogs that were like pugs. They're like 80 pounds apiece, like like the fattest pugs you've ever seen in your entire life. There was Mr. Puggins 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, I think, during the time that we were. But they all died of like cardiac arrest, like because he fed them hamburgers every day.
I was wondering how much table scraps kind of got shoved off.
Yeah, he was a member at the Jeffersons Club, and I always remember like Stephanie would say that Irvin would come home with like from the Jeffersons Club with like filet hamburgers and stuff, and he would feed them to the dogs after that. I'm like, that dog eats better than I do.
Well, when I was a young teenager, 16, 17, I worked at W.W. Cousins on Breckenridge Lane. And we had a German Shepherd Sheltie mixed dog. She would wait for my sister and I to come home, lick the bottom of her shoes.
Yuck. But that's weird, but funny all the same time.
Burger, grease, all of that, yes. And then, if there were extra little kitty burgers left over, we'd bring a couple home for her.
Yeah.
She definitely enjoyed her life
lived
then.
the good life, huh?
Yes, she did.
I tell you. Sorry, has anybody tasted this bad boy?
Oh, no.
All right, dive in, try it. So I've already tried this one. Like I said, and I even sipped it while Miss Barbara was talking. So I really get a little bit of caramel, a little bit of baking spice, maybe like some clove.
There is a little bit of clove at the end.
Yeah. And then it's got a really, really unique mid palate on this one, though. I'm trying to pick out what exactly that flavor is on the mid palate, but the finish, you get that baking spice, that clove, and then up front you get a little bit of vanilla and caramel. So, anything else there?
I love the mid palate on this.
It is. It's really got a great mouthfeel. It's got some good legs to it. I'm still in the other Nick's verbiage there. He always talks about the legs on the glass. So.
That was a lot what we learned. It's amazing over the past couple of years that we've gone on these bourbon tours, that some of how they kind of explain items and kind of change the narratives as people have gotten a little bit more educated about bourbon over those years. Because 10 years ago they're just giving you the very high level, hey, this is our mash bill, this is how it's distilled, and they're going. All bourbons are whiskey, not all whiskeys are bourbon, spiel. But now they're really, whenever they get to the tasting, they are going really deep into all of those specifics now.
Yeah, all the flavor notes, where it's coming from, the smell, the aroma, the nose, the finish. Everything on there. So I'm adding a little bit of water to this because anytime I do review, I always say, hey, with or without water, what do I prefer? And we're going to dive in on this one. The nose opens up quite a bit though with the water. You get a lot more of the baking spice, and you get a lot more
and I get a lot more of the tobacco.
Yeah. That's what
that earthy.
Yeah, cherry tobacco, even almost like an old leather's glove, like
that's what I was just
like
about
a
to
baseball
say.
mitt.
Yeah, baseball mitt style.
Yeah.
And for those of you who eat baseball mitts,
baseball glove mitt. Is that okay, Stephen?
it's fine.
Did you not have a mitt?
I did.
You have a glove?
I had both.
You had both? Catcher's mitt?
No, I didn't have a catcher's mitt.
You didn't?
My son had a catcher's mitt.
Okay. But, all right, so.
Yeah, that the little bit of water just smoothed it out just a bit.
Yeah, smoothed it out. I don't know that I prefer it with the water, though.
I don't know, but on both of them, I'm getting cinnamon.
I get a little bit more cinnamon on the backside when we add a little water to it.
Yep.
Just on the finish on the back end.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Absolutely. Just a little bit of cinnamon just on the backside.
The finish is better with the water to me.
The finish is better. Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
It's a little bit smoother, but it's still got more flavors coming in.
Yeah, it's a little bit less of the Kentucky hugs gone because you lose a little bit of that heat, but I don't know. This one's a hard decision. I'm going to have to come back to this one later and decide whether or not I prefer it with or without water.
One of the things you might enjoy thinking about, Barbara, is when we've done some of these that have rye as a secondary, when you add water, instead of mellowing the rye, it brings
strengthens
it out.
Yeah.
It brings out that peppery note. Yeah, it's crazy. It's one of those things I still can't. I need to ask a chemist why that is the case, but I don't know. All right, now on to the elusive Colonel E.H. Taylor, barrel proof, uncut, unfiltered, batch number 10, weighing in at 127.3. All right, so the nose is it's good, but it's a little alcohol-y. Like it's got a little bit of that like heat on the nose.
I'm almost getting butter. It's almost like an oily butter smell.
That's what I was thinking. Butter.
Yeah, I get that.
There's something else there, but yeah, that was my first impression.
Yeah.
It's a very soft nose.
Mm-hmm.
It is. It's very soft. It's got like I said, you can smell the alcohol though, because it's really just immediately. I mean, when I open, because I always sniff with my mouth open for people that maybe do or don't. I always say that to me that I always get a better nose on one when I keep my mouth open. But
no, I do get.
That's what they teach you.
I'm getting a little tobacco now after I've kind of wished it around a little bit, and then just kind of breathe in slow.
Yeah, I agree with that. A little bit of tobacco. There's a fruit there, and I cannot grab it out of my mind.
Definitely a fruit.
It's like a stone fruit, like something like a peach or a nectarine.
I was thinking
something.
peach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I can't. I mean, it's so faint, but I can get it. So I'm gonna dive in. I'm gonna try this. If anybody wants to talk more about the scent, that's great. And I'm gonna drink away.
It's got to be a little bit oily. I mean, because I can see the legs go for a long time on this one. Now, do you know if this is actually a single barrel or is it?
So it's batch proof. So
okay.
yeah, this is I think if I remember correctly on reading for E.H. Taylor, I think it's approximately 10 I mean between 40 and 50 barrels that they pour into the hopper, and they finalize it at batch proof, that's the difference between batch proof and barrel proof. Is obviously when you have different batches bringing at different levels, you can't have a barrel strength. You have what's called batch proof instead of barrel strength. So. Man, the flavor on this, but the rye is really popping out on this, especially on the forward palate.
But it's got that oily butter.
Yeah, I'm also getting some almost like herbal notes, like a honeysuckle or some kind of like florally.
I'm getting some floral mid palate.
Yeah,
and I'm getting some bubblegum kind of taste in it.
You getting bubblegum? Let me dive back in here. Like what kind of bubble? Are you talking like juicy fruit? I need to know what I'm looking for, Steven.
Well, like
Big League Chew?
Bazooka or
Bazooka,
that kind
okay.
that kind of thing.
I was wondering about the Big League Chew right there. The little strips they used to pull out.
See, Big League Chew was after me.
Oh.
I'm a Bazooka guy. That's what happens when you're old.
I do get that a little bit now that you mention it. It's kind of the fruit forwardness that's coming out of that rye with a little bit more of that sweeter texture. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, 100%.
It's interesting that I smell the butter, but I'm not tasting much butter.
I don't either. I don't taste any butter. No.
Yeah.
And sometimes, with these higher proofs, that's what it's not uncommon to get a little bit of that taste in there. I really don't want to add water to this, but I'm going to.
It's okay. If you want to go back for more later, you can.
Something tells me don't tempt them.
Well, it's one of those things. When you find something, and I will preface this by saying I'm not a huge E.H. Taylor fan. So, like, I've tried almost all of them, and sometimes because of the way that that batch comes in, the rye sometimes hits me a little funny because they do get a little medicinal sometimes.
Yeah, I can see that.
And I'm not a big fan of that. I'm more of I like bringing out some of the sweet notes, but I also like the spicy. So, but when they get medicinal or floral, sometimes I'm like, ooh, that's a little bit of a turnoff. But I'm trying to figure out, But this one I'm actually enjoying. So,
yeah, I distinctly remember trying a few. Then all of a sudden you go right to that cherry cough syrup.
Yes,
and it's kind of it's always been off-putting for me. Because growing up having that cherry cough syrup that, hey, it's supposed to taste like cherry. It does not taste like cherry.
Never.
It reminded me of what are those flowers that grow in your yard? Violets.
Violets, okay.
So like my father-in-law, whenever you were sick, he would always make you eggs and put violets in it because it's a field green that you could eat. So. And that's what I was like, that's what it reminded me of, like that taste of that violet-y type thing, or a spice bush. Have you ever had the old spice bush tea or things like that? It's like that herbally, like kind of hits you in that mid palate. And that's what I usually get when I drink E.H. Taylor. So.
Well, and I really love teas.
Yeah.
I'm a big tea drinker. Recently, obviously, that spicy kind of flavors I really, really like. So I like chai.
Yep, chai.
They're amazing.
Yep, I had one guy that was telling me about this one bourbon. He's like, man, it tastes like chai tea. And I'm like, I've never had a bourbon that tastes like chai tea. I've had bourbons that tasted like tea, but I've never had chai tea. I've had Earl Grey. I've had like orange pioche or whatever, however you pronounce that. But I mean, I've tasted different teas whenever I've drank bourbon. I've never had chai in a bourbon before. So maybe it looks like you may have because you're like giving Nick the finger over here. Not the middle finger, but the I told you, Nick, last week.
This is one of those things of like going, I know I've tasted it. Where did I taste it? We tasted it recently.
Very recently on the tour.
Gotcha.
On one of the tours that we went on just recently this week. or late last week, I remember telling them straight up, it reminds me of a chai tea.
That's crazy.
But I can't remember which one it was.
Can't remember which one it was.
We ended up visiting over the past week around 12 distilleries. So
That's a heck of a vacation.
it was.
It was amazing, especially without children.
What'd you do with the children? Drop them off at grandma's?
YMCA.
Oh, there you go. Even better.
Yeah, they had summer camps still going.
Because they were tired when they got home, running around.
No, they
No.
never get tired.
So water to me didn't do anything for this. I mean, it does open up the rye on the backside, so that finish, like Steven said, because it get a little bit more of that pepper and that heat. It really brings forward that. But
Yeah.
but flavor wise, I didn't pick anything up.
You know, I agree with you with the rye. It brings out the rye about mid palate, but the finish just falls off.
Yeah.
With
So,
water.
Also, the nose becomes way more alcohol-y. Like
Agreed. Most
Like,
certainly.
I
I was
literally-
like, I don't want to smell this.
that literally it bit into my nose whenever I got that second whiff.
I was like, oof.
This does not need water, that's for sure.
No, it
This
was
is
not
not a water. Nope.
not a water drinker. So
Nope.
saving just a little bit for last, and then we'll revisit it, and then we're going to the Mr. Stagg Jr. here. So this is I'm going to let you guys tell me what you get on this, because I've had this batch multiple times. I love it. It's a good solid pour, and you all may or may not like it. That's the good thing about bourbon, right? But to me, the color on this, along with the legs and everything else that goes along with this, it's just to me, it's a fantastic pour.
Yeah, it's a beautiful golden copper color. But yeah, no, I've never had Stagg Jr. before. This is actually my first try. So
Well, cheers to you. Salute. So, but the nose, man, on this thing.
the funny thing is I get more bubble gum on this one.
Yeah, get some bubble gum. You get some caramel,
Definitely bubblegum.
bubble gum, caramel. I get juicy fruit. I don't get bubble gum. I get juicy fruit on this one specifically. Like when I think of juicy fruit, like that old school Wrigley's.
That's what it is, the old school Wrigley's. That's what it is. Not really the juicy fruit, but the old school Wrigley's. Yes,
Yeah.
I know what you're exactly
Wrigley's.
talking.
Like Wrigley's, and it might even be double mint, like the sweeter mint one.
No, I don't get any mint.
Yeah,
No, if it's Wrigley, it's juicy fruit.
yeah,
Yeah.
That's what I said. But man, I tell you what, this one just pops off at me.
For as high as this is, it does not come off as a very high.
No. So this is that's one of the reasons I love this batch, because it drinks more like a 110, 112. But the finish, man, I tell you, and the funny thing is that the finish like is so smooth and so good on the back collarbone, but it bites on the front at the end, which I very rarely get a bourbon that like will hit the tip of your tongue and in your lips after you've already swallowed it.
Oh yeah, I'm still feeling it. Yes.
And people are
It's still going on.
yeah. But man, I tell you, and it every time and the more you drink it, that goes away. But it's like when you first drink this one, that's one of the things I'm always. So, what do you think about like the caramel notes, or what are you popping off on this on the notes after you actually drink it, Steven? What do you got?
I'm just enjoying it at the moment.
He said, "This is to enjoy, Scott. We're not talking about Stagg Jr. at this point."
I
He
mean,
said, "Plus, I did a bottle chug before I came here, so I'm feeling pretty good."
you know, you get your normal caramel.
It's a
little
very
bit of vanilla.
thick caramel.
Yeah. What was it? This actually is very similar to those old. Now, our last name is Brock, but the Brock's candy.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
The caramel vanilla roll that they used to sell.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
Okay.
See, I was gonna say like caramel / butterscotch. Like to me, yeah, like a Werther's Original.
That's where I was going. Werther's Original. That's first thing I thought. Plus, it's got that kind of oily on the side of the tongue that reminds me of that Werther's Original.
Grandma's Kisses is what this one is right here, buddy.
Well, yeah, it says not very many of them will get that, side of the tongue, side of the mouth, even sometimes roof of the mouth.
Right.
I'm getting it with this.
Yeah. So it really it's a good one. I have to add water, even though I don't want to. But we're gonna drive in here and give the final assessment on these bad boys here. Got to be careful. Just a drop. Don't get crazy there.
It's one of those things that I've actually been looking at after us using so many droppers
Yep.
over the course of this past week. I've actually thought about going out and buying a couple eyedroppers.
You should
just
always
to
buy a
have
couple
those.
of eyedroppers.
Something tells me we can get those incredibly cheap on Amazon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we probably will. Yeah.
Probably take them from work.
I should have brought
much.
the one we got yesterday.
Oh yeah, we did. We should have brought them from yesterday. I forgot we got some yesterday. We did a barrel pick at Four Roses yesterday. So.
Oh, very nice.
So I do love what the nose does with this when you add a little water to it. It gives it a little bit more of that complex sugar, and
I get a little sweet and floral kind of combo there.
yeah.
Right. I think it's more sweet than it was before.
Most certainly.
And I'm going to ask a deep question here. Now, is this still going to be part of the rye mash bill, or is this?
So Stagg Junior is part of this is Buffalo Trace barrel strength.
Gotcha. Okay.
Like
That's
if
what I
you could get
figured it
Buffalo
was.
Trace, it's batch number. What is it? Batch number 1 or
Mash bill 1?
mash bill 1?
Mash
There
bill
you go.
1.
Mash bill 2 is your Elmer T, your Blanton's, and Rock Hill Farms, and all those. So this is that. So also this is benchmark foolproof, but benchmark foolproof is only like 3 years old, whereas this is that 7 to 8 year old.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
So
I am still learning.
no, it's all good. I'll send you a picture if you remind me before you leave. That way you can look at all the different mash bills and what bottles fall underneath those. So
Yeah.
give you a little bit of intake and give you a possibility to look at that. But so
Water makes it much softer.
it does. It takes away the flavor.
It absolutely does. I much prefer neat.
Yep. I agree.
Oh, yeah. Neat is most definitely.
All right, so let's weigh in the final information on these 3 bottles here. So I'm going to go a block of ice on the Old Ezra because I think it's good, but I think it helps bring out some of the sweetness if you add a little bit of ice or water or something to it. And I'm going to say neat. The H. Taylor's neat, Stagg Junior neat. And if I was going to rank these 3 bottles, I'm going to go 3-2-1. I'm going to go I still think Stagg Junior is my favorite of these 3, then the E.H. Taylor, and then the Old Ezra 7.
Agreed.
Agreed?
Yeah.
All right.
I think I agree
I think
with
I
that,
agree too.
All right, so it's at least 100% unanimous. Hopefully I didn't sway the judges.
You need a calculator for that?
I think both of these, the Stagg Junior and the Taylor Barrel Proof, would be really good with like whiskey stones. Just chilled a little bit,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
but without water.
Yeah. That or you could just throw them in the freezer.
That too, yes.
Just get crazy, throw them in the freezer. I always laugh when people say they do that, and I'm like, you know what? I only do that with like really like what I would consider like your entry day shelfers and things like that. I'll put them in there and do that.
Now, one thing that both Barbara and I learned over this is that we go back and sniff some of the old ones. If you go back and sniff the E.H. Taylor, I
Right.
bet you'll get a load of tobacco.
A load of tobacco on that one. Oh yeah, absolutely, 100%. It's weird how that as they open up, like everything enhances on these things. Like it's just really really weird. Even
the micro ounces that I have left, it's definitely tobacco.
yeah, no, 100%. So I'm gonna polish these off. So do that, and we're gonna have a good time. We're gonna come back here in a little bit. We'll do another episode. If you want to follow Bourbon Barrel Talk, you can do that on Instagram, Twitter, our Facebook group. You can also email us at bourbonbarreltalk@gmail.com. We like to thank the Brocks for inviting us out today. We got the 3-2-1 as Stagg Junior being number 1, E.H. Taylor being number 2, and Old Ezra being number 3. This is Scott, Barbara, Nick, and Steve and Scott signing off. Peace out.